Boom shakalaka. It's a beautiful day, as he always says. Welcome back, Coach Clince. Thank you so much for coming back on the Jason Show. So last episode, we had some technical issue because of which we couldn't put the episode out, but Clince was kind enough to say, let's just do it again, bro. Let's just do it again. Thank you so much, my man.
Welcome to the Zen space. I'm glad. Is this the first episode you're doing outside the studio?
No, second.
Second one. All right. So let's begin. I'm excited.
So we're going to divide this episode in three parts. The first part is being an MC. Mm-hmm. The second part is being a happiness coach. Mm-hmm. And the third part is being a content creator.
Fair enough.
Let's get to it.
Okay.
So we'll start by how you got started in the MC space. What is your timeline? What was your first few events like? What were your first few big events like? All about that.
So what's exciting is we've done this conversation before.
Yes.
And it feels like a rerun. Some of these questions and discussions we've had are things that I've been asked many a times and hence always prepared for those questions. So I've kind of figured, because I'm a passionate storyteller, I use the power of storytelling to address these things. So started, born and raised in an average South Indian middle class family. You're always raised with, you're always fed values, ethics and morals for your breakfast, lunch, dinner, all day, everywhere. So that's part of how you are raised. So growing up always, and of course, as I said, we came from a middle class family. We didn't have a lot of resources. Aspirations were big. You always wanted the bigger, the better. Be it, was it a shoe, was it a jeans, was it a car? And these were things that we didn't have. Not the shoe and the jeans, but like a car or whatever, right? Like as you're growing up. So the aspirations were big. So the goal was to live a happy life. The understanding at that point in time as a kid for me was, if we had more money, we could buy a lot more things that would make us feel good about life. So mera goal tha first, and hence I say my first stage of life, or in my storytelling, in my first phase of life, I call this the 3P story, or the P3 story, right? The first phase is paisa, or penny, right? Like the idea was, I have to do something that makes enough money so that I can buy whatever it is. With age, what I wanted kept changing, kept upgrading, or whatever. So I started doing my first job was to stand outside Mumbai airport, hold a placards saying welcome to India. There were some international delegates traveling into India, and my job was to escort them from the airport, receive them, guide them to their car, and drop them to the hotel. So that was my first day, and I was super excited. I said I had a first ever commercially paying job, and I remember I got 350 rupees paid. Got paid for that job. And I was super excited. I said, oh wow, if I do like 30 days of this work, then that's like 10,000 rupees. And when you're 15 years old, and I'm 91 born, so this is 2006, right? 2006. So when you're at that age, you're like, whoa, 10,000 rupees is a lot of money. Good 19 years ago when as we're speaking, right? So first stage was paisa, so I said whatever it makes money. Started my first stint of making money doing that. Then I got into emceeing and mall activities, because now this was part of like an event company that was doing these things. So with time I got into emceeing, mall activities. There's something called as cantor activities. Cantor means like wo bade buses hote hain na, but the big trucks, you stand, Devi or Sachana, Bhai or Bero, I axe ka dio. You just giving you a. So things like that. So it all started like that. And what I actively didn't realize, but subconsciously was learning, was all of these are marketing initiatives that I got to be a part of. So like be it in a mall where there's a new product that's launched, and when I get to be a voice on that day to be able to reach out that messaging to people. So I learned that with time, there were a lot of internal learnings. We'll come back to that on a later period, right? But the first phase, paisa. So mall activities, got into college, was doing mall activities, killing it weekends. By then, my first mall activity, I was doing it for 2,500. So like the jump was from a person like a promoter who was doing like welcome, receiving. From 350, the jump was to 2,500. Felt good again. I was like, wow. And mall activities, weekend activities over it, primarily. If at all, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But largely Saturday, Sundays. So my goal was, yaar, ek baar mall activity mil gaya, main बोला यार college में हूँ, I get 4 weekends. Saturday I would take off, you would have half days or whatever. But I was like, if I'm gonna make money, $2,500. If I do 4 Saturdays like that, that's 10,000 rupees, right? What I was thinking at my early stage in a story, if I had to work for a whole month, became a 4
days.
Yeah, right. So now, I mean, then it's of course Saturday, Sunday also, so then multiply it. So of course you would get mall activities once in a while, a weekend or here and there. So 5,000, good time, thoda aur bad gaya. Mall activities, say bigger, better events in terms of the scale or the money that you could make out of it, and so on and so forth. So while all of this was going on, primarily when I hit college, I was also very passionate about, so I realized stage is like a high firm. You're on stage, you feel like an emperor, you feel like a king. But kind of was passion. I was getting excited about being the stage person. I was always a stage person even in school times, singing, dancing, stage theatre play, this, that, all of those kind of things. I was pretty active, a child also. So now I realized that now this is my passion. I could make money out of it. So the second thing was, when I was in college, it was the time when the conversation was, when you grow up, what would you do? Do something that you're passionate about. Because then it'll never feel like you're working even for a day, right? So this was a conversation, millennial child, 2008, 2009, 10, around that period, everybody's all like idealistic, you want to change the world and this kind of, you're driven by that sort of a delusion or a spirit, you think you're the best in the world. You can be the number one in whatever you want to be. There is a certain kind of drive that will come with. From the other side, you might feel like it's like a sense of delusion or whatever it is, right? I think that drive is very important. So I said, we started a big band. So my band and I, we were touring around, winning college festivals, while simultaneously also doing the anchoring jobs in and around whatever was coming through. So a little pocket money came from there. Band was passion. Hitting the stage was like a real nashana. You feel like a emperor. You're on stage, you're telling people to put their hands up, they're putting their hands, you ask them to wave it, they're waving, you're telling them to jump, they're jumping, make noise. So it's like you feel like, your identity of what you think about yourself, or in simple words, the ego gets blasted. And I always enjoyed that experience. And this is something that I was doing since school time. So I knew how to enjoy the privileges that come with it when you walk around, people who might have seen you on stage and all those kind of things. The groundwork was pretty well done way back in time. And I think in a way, maybe because I knew the impact it brought, that drove me even more to get bigger opportunities on stage again, right? Like we would say that we want to perform in like Wembley Stadium, we want to go international, we want to play at biggest of the arenas, be like rock stars, break guitars and live that sort of rock star life, right? So you're young, you're wild, you're doing all sorts of crazy things. Passion. We're like, okay, we will follow passion. College khatam ho gaya. Passion was stage and band and all of that. Then the anchoring gigs kept going through, and with time it just got amplified, and one thing led to another. At some point I did a reality show on MTV, won it, gave me an intro to host a show on MTV as a VJ, and that continued. While that was going on, as I had the backup or the understanding of how to do brand communication, because I was the voice from the ground level, right? Be it they were trying to do a engagement activity with people in a mall, or taking that to a ballroom event for their dealers or for their customers or for their employees. How were the brand messaging happening? So these were the opportunities that I got to learn through the period of time. And I started applying some of those things in helping build myself into a brand, or like what you call as Clince, where it was Coach Clince, whatever. Right? So the goal was to be able to build a brand which is trustworthy. Because at the end of the day, the secret to any successful brand is people trust them.
Yes.
Why people buy iPhone? Apple has been able to build a certain sense of vanity around the fact that having the latest iPhone makes you look more cooler. Right? I mean, there is a whole, that's the reason why people upgrade from a 15, if you had a 15 Pro Max XL, whatever, 1 TB, the next year you want to get the 16 there. And then 16 and then 17. So the game continues, right? Or across any other brand, and not just for ease of access in terms of understanding the example, right? So kept happening, great opportunities. I was also simultaneously marketing it, and when all those dreams of wanting to do big stages, traveling international, chauffeur-driven cars, 5-star lifestyle, people guiding you in and out to a venue, to helping you get in the car. All those kind of dreams start coming true. Flying from the first job outside the airport to now being able to fly across oceans and do all of that, right? So what happened is, as all of this was going, there was a spike in the joy, in the experience, in the fulfillment of life. And with time, every peak at some point has a valley down, right? It has to valley down. So there was the same thing happening all over again. It started feeling mechanical. मजा नहीं आता था बोला यार अब तो वही है स्टेज पे जाना है हाथ वेव करवाना है जंप करवाना है फिर मैं कूदी मारूंगा स्टेज से I'll run around I'll give them high fives come back do my thing started feeling like it's not feeling the same joy as it was. Theory of marginal utility could be applied to this. Do you know what that is?
No.
When you're thirsty, when you drink the first glass, it always feels more fulfilling. As you start drinking more and more water, you're like, bus, there'll come a point where you don't want what you really crave for. Right? So theory of marginal utility, it's an economic term. It's applied for, the society and whatever finances. So drawing it back. So feel the analysis. What went wrong? It's the same thing. Passion, this, that. And then I started realizing that, I was so much indulged into looking at what it made me feel, how much joy I got out of it, because, all of that at some point has a waxing experience, or the spike in it slowly falls down on experiencing it, because that's how we humans are designed. When what we don't have is what we really want, and when we get it, with time, we might not have the same kind of joy or experience in and around, right? So then a lot of inner child work, understanding things, what's going wrong, am I this, that. Through all those self-doubt journeys, this, that, I realized that, I need to change the perspective. I was seeing from here to the audience, I'm feeling like this, people are jumping, singing and dancing, and I'm getting all these experiences. But I just had to just see it from the other side. There is someone who's had a breakup, who's lost their near and dear one, or a pet, or has some financial losses, or is going through some phase by itself for some other reason, right? There is a guy on stage with his knowledge and skill set is able to bring a certain kind of joy, smiles, or something that takes it away from me as an audience. If I'm there is somebody coming on stage and shifting my focus energies into something else, right? Then I realized that I had to see that. It was just that much. I didn't have to think all about how I felt. Then it became a story about purpose. Now it's not about just how I feel with my passion. What can I do with that passion? For the larger, for the people, right? Because now that started giving me joy. Now I know that when I have to travel on a night when I might have not slept, and it's going to be from a desert region in Rajasthan, a day activity, to like some place in the cold regions, and in outdoor, whatever, across temperature differences, landscapes, timelines, this, that. I know that, there is a larger purpose attached to it.
Correct. Yeah.
That gives me a driving force. Money, of course, motivates. Opportunities certainly motivate. There is opportunity to build content around it. You're traveling and doing this. The ego, vanity boost. These are all opportunities there. But there is larger than that. I know now is something that I use my knowledge and skill set and my experience, credibility, whatever, all those things, right?
Correct.
The ability to monetize that into giving something that makes me more purpose-driven. Gives me a lot of joy. So I know when I go to sleep every night, be it what I do on stage, what I speak in front of camera, or my personal interactions with people, I know that I've consciously put efforts to touch lives with a little bit of magic that I can, that I've been blessed with. What do I do with all these blessings that I have? That we all have. What do we do? If we have certain blessings, what should we do with it?
We should share it around with others.
First, master it. For all of us, keep mastering it. And with that, if the impact is to be able to create some opportunities, enabling opportunities, like through this podcast, you're able to reach out a lot of voices to your community. Right? There is a learning experience there. There is something to take back from.
Everything.
Right? So things like that. Of course, but you also know that, when people see me as a podcaster, it makes me feel a certain way about. So there is that. See, there is both sides of the story, right? It's not that just if you're talking purpose, you don't acknowledge certain benefits and privileges that comes with it. You acknowledge it. That's joy. But the work has to be for that impact. And see, that changes also with time. At first it could be whatever it gives us benefits and this and that.
Correct.
When there is a waxing point is where, you might want to feel, so it's part of the journey and so on and so forth. And
I can understand.
yeah, so keeping it short, as you said, I know this is the first question. Don't give what's my story. It's P3, पैसा कमाना था. पैसे के बाद फिर मैंने realize किया I got into college. पैसा अगर जिंदगी भर कमाना है, follow passion. With time, I realized that पैसा and passion is important, but also it should have a sense of purpose. That will drive you to keep your game on, to create the impact, and to just when you go to sleep, that you were able to touch people's lives with some magic, and that is the biggest form of empowerment. So,
that's right. Even as an MC, you impact people's lives, but even through your content, you're impacting even more lives.
Yes, there you go. So I think with I don't see it as like with my job or with my hobby or passion. Overall scheme of things, from the time you're up to you're going to sleep, whatever you do, your thoughts, your words, your action, what do you use it for? These are blessings, right? When we say blessings, it doesn't have to be your ability to write songs or sing or dance or, whatever other skill sets, thousands of skill sets.
Yeah.
I'm saying just the ability to think, feel, speak, do things. These are all like blessings, right? What do we do with it on an everyday basis? And also, see, I'm not saying very hoo-ha words, ki matlab, change the world, move the game, or whatever. I'm saying at an individual level. At least are we even aware of, or are we just from the time we are awake, suddenly we're just scrolling through things, we're doing some activities, and then we are like, time hi nahi hai zindagi mein. Things are just, I couldn't do this, do that. Saying, are we able to just, with ease, able to understand what are we thinking, how are we thinking, what are we doing with it, what are we speaking, what are we doing, all those things.
Yeah, so like, this thing that you just mentioned, it's common for everyone, regardless of your skill. If you're a singer, dancer, actor, everything is the same. How you impact people with your words.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think learning this already, you've already blown my mind. We have not even started yet. But But like when you go for these events and all, there is a lot of preparation that you have to do. And like you do multiple events a month across time zone, across countries. So like how do you prepare for that event?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. See, I think what happens is after you've done a certain kind of volume of that, any work, right? The amount of hours one spent, for you, a lot of those things become automated. Right, from the first episode you did until now we are the 7th episode, right? Your learning curve has increased. You know what to be better prepared with, be it in terms of asking questions, looking into the camera, your voice modulation, everything. Thinking about a reel perspective, ki if I plug this in, that's another reel, all those things, right? Everything that we're supposed to do. So, this is all I've been doing for like 17 years plus now. I started off from standing outside the Mumbai airport at the age of 15 and like 30, going to be 34 now. So, 18, 19 years, this is all I've been doing. Speaking in front of stage with different kinds of people. And as I said, for me, I don't look at it necessarily as only the amount of time spent on stage. So for me, every opportunity interacting with a person, maybe my family or friend or a stranger or anyone, all of that for me is part of am I using it to engage with someone? Am I able to entertain them or inspire them or maybe just give a listening ear sometimes, right? Because that's all that. And am I able to, so I use every opportunity as a practice moment for me.
Wow, yeah.
I'm like shaping myself up. Can I get better? I'm not saying all the moments. I have my own downtime and like all of that. But the intent is that every day I wake up, I tell myself that, you've got an opportunity today. I tell them, Lord, universal force, reach to a zone, as we identify the supreme force as. I feel blessed to get such a beautiful day where I can think, speak, and do things. Right? That's about it. I want to be able to use this blessing to maximize at my individual level, to what I can do it for my family and friends, to what I can do it for my community, to what I can do it for the nation and then with the world. At wherever we are at an individual space, within us also, maybe someday we are as motivated and feel more fulfilled as much as we can change the world, to someday we feel not even confident enough about ourselves. So peaks and valleys are part of everyday life. How we navigate through those things is the magic.
Even last episode you spoke about talking and becoming the number one motivational speaker by 2030. Can you deep dive more into that?
So my vision is I want to be the number one motivational speaker in the world by the year 2030. And see, the whole thing is it's an intent with which I want to change. I want to fast track. I want to gear up. I've always, in the longest period of time since just to kind of draw it back, right? Like back in 2017, I gave my first TEDx talk. The topic was my 10 commandments of happiness, right? So the idea about talking about mindset, about living a motivated life has been a part of me since a really long time. Maybe it has got its roots in some of the opportunities that I got growing up as a college student. I did my master's. I couldn't complete. I did my master's in ancient Indian culture and archaeology. I'm a dropout from Xavier. So there was a lot of religion philosophy. I've stayed in the Namgyal monastery in Meklotganj, which is His Holiness the Dalai Lama's monastery. That's where he resides, along with a lot of monks. So I had an opportunity to stay there for a month, learn about Tibetan culture, Buddhism, and so much more. So religion, philosophy, learning about culture has been really core and active part of my early growing up phase. So the thing being, I've been a curious kid. So spirituality, mindset. So this kind of conversation has always been something that I internally do it with myself or with my friends or with a group of people that I generally meet across. So, sorry, what were we talking about? Or what were we
about being the number one motivational speaker.
The motivational speaker aspect of it. COVID was a time when I really found an opportunity to be able to upskill myself to learn something that could help me progress into that journey of wanting to be a speaker, a person with max impact that I could create using my existing skill set, which was the ability to be on stage, to speak, to connect with people. How could I optimize it in the next 5 to 10 years period? So when I think of it that way, I got into some programs, got some certifications, started my journey as a happiness coach. We built an app, we built a website, we had some programs going on during COVID times, virtual learning. Then, of course, we moved back to the real life scenario. So now I take a lot of my learnings, the conversation that I use, be it for corporate events that I host, or for wedding, or for fashion lifestyle events. We bring in that side of a conversation. And I think also that kind of becomes a USP for the branding that I'm doing right now, and why I'm approached by a lot of event agencies, organizations, or families to be a part of their special occasions. So, yeah.
And you just spoke about a TEDx talk. How does one go about to give a TEDx talk?
So there are two ways. One is getting personally invited by some organization or educational institute or so on and so forth that is hosting a TEDx talk, which gets licensed, and there is a whole format around it. Or else you could register yourself on the TEDx website. So it takes details like what's your location, and if you've done some TEDx talks in the past, attach the clips, some personal details, and so on and so forth. And then you become part of the database of the larger TEDx, which is location centric. And if, let's say, somebody who's hosting a TEDx in Bombay, they would get like a preset access to database, and that could be. But generally, chances are if you have access across to like some institutes or so on and so forth who's hosting, and they kind of get in touch with you. My first one was such. Like I had got, in fact, all the 4 TEDx talks that I've given, all of them have been like, I've got an invite to be and I have yet not, I think, registered on the TEDx website. I must. So yeah, you should also maybe register yourself. You're a podcaster, you're a creator, you can talk about the purpose.
Yeah.
And
that's about it. So like as an MC, you have to travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And travel can be stressful at times, and sometimes you might miss a flight, sometimes you might reach late for an event. How do you cope up with it?
The stress around traveling? I enjoy traveling, first of all. the ability that it gives you to be one-on-one with new cultures, new people, exciting conversations around it. But of course, when you're traveling for work, it's not a lot of, the ornamentation of all the traveling that we say might not necessarily be that much, because you have to be landing, reaching a certain spot, get into meetings, do tech rehearsals, prepare for pre-gig, and sometimes all of this across different timelines. Timing is crazy, being constantly on tour can have its downsides. But I'll draw it back to the same point. If you really enjoy doing what you do, a lot of it doesn't feel like that, and some of it because you've been doing this for a longer period of time. And then, as I said, I see it more from I try to, whenever I feel more, when I'm going into the complaining mode about things in life, I start like, why is this happening to me, and all of those things. I try to kind of give myself a pause from thinking like that continuously, because by doing that, you're just making it more difficult for you doing anything, whatever those scenarios in our life is. Just pause, and then if you can rework that and then identify what's making you feel that. Sometimes if it's like, for example, you're traveling, you have a bad tummy, right? And you're traveling time zones and you've not slept, maybe because of that, your body's on intense, or you're not keeping well, you've got a flu, all these things, right? So be prepared. One is, by default, I try to bring a little discipline in terms of eating, working out, resting well. So on off days, if you're covering this well, even, I think I'm blessed with good genetics. So physically, I don't feel as tired down. But even if you do, there are ways to keep up your, get multivitamins, keep up your supplements. So that's the physical angle of it. The mindset part of it, I try to as much not get into the complaining mode. Even if I'm going into that, I try to bring myself back.
Pull yourself forward.
So these kind of practices will always help you to be able to deal with the challenges this work life brings in. ऐसे नहीं कि challenges गायब हो जाएगा. Challenges गायब उन लोगों के लिए होता है जो master level पे है. That they figured out. They know that, no matter what, I'm born to work with challenges in my everyday life. That is a certain kind of mastery in mindset. We all would want that, but of course, जब एक चीज ही गलत हो रहा है उसके बारे में complaining करना शुरू कर दिए तो so we need to kind of work towards it. We have to bring more awareness back to there are tricks, there is meditation, there is working out, there is cold plunge bath for faster recovery, all sorts of mix and match. You got to have your own Bible of what understanding yourself better and whatever helps you recover faster. Mentally, emotionally. Like I might not feel equally motivated when I'm going through a heartbreak or I'm going through financial, up and down in my life. I might not have the same kind of drive that I'm talking about right now. So to be able to be aware at that point, कि ठीक है यार, थोड़े ऐसा दिन चल रहा है, so I need to work around things. I don't maybe not overstress, overthink about it, and then you need to be more aware about your everyday life.
Correct. Yeah. And even with traveling, you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And you learn about many other people. So like recently, I went to Punjab, and there I met some people from Assam.
Oh.
And those Assam people were telling that they had to go around and ask people to sponsor them to come from Assam to Punjab. And so the ticket was ticket and registration back and forth must have been like 4,000 rupees. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that I take 4,000 rupees like so much for granted, and there people have to struggle for that money. So that's when I stopped splurging money, I would say, and started being more mindful about how I use my own money.
Yeah. If you have a lot of money, you can donate it to me. And no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, dude, like traveling does open up a lot of things, because more than learn. So, I always say through my travels, and I've been traveling because at 15, 16 years, I was making about 350, and by around 16, 17, I started making 2,500 a day. So I've been working since a younger age, and then whenever during college times also, the Diwali vacations or the long vacations, I'd always backpack. I was very heavy into traveling and moving away, staying away from home because of my own rebellious nature as a teenager, and I preferred spending more time outside in the house than staying, because as I said, average South Indian middle class family, there are value systems. I was becoming more rebellious towards things in life, and my own journey there. So I would find a lot of solace in traveling, and I realized that there's no more better joy than meeting new people, experiencing new cultures, eating different kind of food for breakfast, lunch, dinner, which you would otherwise not while you're at home. And what I learned through putting myself in a lot of those situations is the biggest enabler of traveling is it helps you become comfortable in uncertain scenarios.
Uncertainty.
Like for me, if I had to take a biggest takeaway from other than learning about other things about the world and cultures and all that, it was about getting comfortable in scenarios which more or less could be uncertain, because it was not planned travels also that I did. Backpacker just backpacks, gets a ticket from destination A to B, and from there on it's, you're a wanderer. It's MC Soul sort of a life, right? So I would travel to Kasol or Kodaikanal or Goa, these, these hippie places that they would be called as back in the day. So through those travels, more than learning about the world, I got to learn a lot more about myself. About what are the things that excites me or puts me in like uncomfortable situations, how to deal with a very uncertain way of someone said something to you and you're in a certain scenario, how would you deal with it better? Or even if you're in like with a group of strangers, how do you create a vibe that makes everybody feel excited and what can you do about it? So all these things, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically, you can think a lot. You can think about, okay, I'm going to have 2 icebreaker as a conversation when I'm going to meet people, versus doing that in a real-time scenario, when situation, all of that. So a lot of these kind of things help me become who I am, how I am in front of camera, how I am in front of people or on stage. All those personal, professional life adventures today has its foundations from there. Even way before that as well, as from the child you born. But some of those active efforts of traveling and walking away from the family to be able to explore my own world kind of taught me things about myself. Which is your favorite travel place?
Mine is Goa. I go there very often.
You're from Goa.
I'm
Your
from
roots in Goa.
My mom is Goan, my dad is Bangalorean, but I consider myself Goan.
Goan. Is it more cooler to call yourself a Goan?
I don't say about cooler. It is cooler, but I don't think in that perspective. I just think that Goa is a place where I find peace and Mangalore is not.
You associate, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, pretty much both are tropical areas. Food is closer, of course different, but culture-wise, of course, brings in its own uniqueness. So you identify yourself more as a Goan.
Yeah. And now, I want to get more into traveling alone.
Okay.
Because I know while traveling alone, I'll learn a lot about myself. So when my parents go out of town and have to manage everything at home, I'm like, shit, what will I do? What will I do? This, that. And then for me, I need to even learn how to cook, because the food that I eat is normally ordered, or I'm steaming those momos, that Prasuma momos, that kind of thing.
Well, that was a brand plug-in. Prasuma Momo. # brand plug.
No, that is nothing. But when you live alone and you travel alone, you learn a lot about yourself. That the uncertainty you were talking about, that I could relate a lot when I went to Pondicherry and Jalandhar, those kind of places. Yeah.
I must also say that, and why I'm drawing this into parallel to the conversation, is I learned a lot while I was traveling about myself. But it's like the story of the prodigal son.
Yeah.
Then it brought me back home to realize that, hey, listen, you know what? These were my challenges why I was not able to communicate a certain way, or not maybe build or bridge the gap that was there as part of the growing up teenager phase and this, that, and all of that. I'm the elder child. So, your parents are also, do you have another sibling?
Yeah, 2 siblings.
2 siblings, right? So you must have got more backing. Were your parents like the whacked out parents?
I got the most big.
Yeah, right? So they are also becoming a father or a mother through us.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
We are the experiment that they got to work around with. Of course, sometimes it gets easier for the second child. Most of the times, not necessarily always the same. But I'm saying largely from a timeline perspective, right? So बहुत मार पड़े यार बचपन में बहुत दबा के. Yeah, exactly. There you go. We're the Mar brothers. So man, chappal, belt, cane, हाथ से. All sorts of crazy things. So that kind of brought in a lot of agitation, aggression in me. Okay. But through those travels and all those things, right, I realized some of those key things, that it wasn't what mom said or did that was really upsetting me. It was my interpretation of that.
Okay.
Right? For example, if I had to go and tell my mom that, hey mom, you know what? I'm excited about wanting to share a certain news with you. But if she draws it back to you, but why is your bed sheet not done with? Right? Like as simple as it is. It would make me super furious. I'd be like, here I am trying to share something to my mom, and my mom is talking about something that doesn't make sense to me. But I think it's like, what kind of a gym trainer would you like? The one who calls you for your training time and you're like, I don't feel like training today. And the gym trainer is like, yeah, bro, no stress. Have a popcorn, have some ice cream, chill. Or the one who says, you know what? F you, bro, get up, put your shoes on, we're training time. Let's go, right? So, and this is for all the youngsters who are listening to us. If your parents are strict with you, right? They are like the gym trainer who tells you, get up, wear your shoes, let's meet at the gym. Then we are blessed. Because that's the parenthood that we were talking about. So the flip side of it, these are the things that I kind of learned through those travels, through those explorations. And I think in more than one way than many, it's like the story of prodigal son coming back home again and trying to realize that all those things that you wanted to, and hence as you said, sometimes when you're staying with parents and you're in that zone, you might feel that your learning is going outside to the world and doing solo trips and all of that, which is essential, which is totally essential. But I feel, especially considering my history and my rebellious teenage, and now my relationship with my parents are completely different. It's the polar opposite of that. We kind of are friends, we talk to each other, we discuss everyday scenarios, we plan out vacations together. We did a trip to Thailand together as a family, and so all that kind of stuff, right? So the point being, as much as it's important to do your solo explorations and put yourself in situations that can be uncertain and all of that, if there are people who are listening to us and who find it difficult to spend that time of kind of peace with them in their own house, also use those explorations, come back, learn about yourself, use that awareness to bring peace back, and be it at work, be it at home, be it with friends, wherever it is. Because the actual peace is not in the outside world. The actual joy, the actual motivation, all of that, if you think it's outside, then you are making yourself less stronger by giving all those things, all those powers to beyond yourself. Sure. You want to be in a position where you are the one who's driving your motivation, your joy. You are responsible for how you feel. If it's up, if it's down, it's all within you. You want to be able to train yourself to be that person.
Sure.
Right? So that's what it is.
Why do you think, like, us at a younger age, in our early 20s, are so disconnected from our parents, and then later on in life we get more connected? Like you said, you were a rebellious kid, but then now your relationship is so good with your parents. What changes?
I think not everybody goes through that sort of a phase. Okay, like I know friends, I have friends who've always had great relationships with their parents. They've not had a rebellious story in between here and there. A rebellion of our own. But when the rebellious ones are the ones who had friction with family, left the house, came back, again left the house, came back, and that. So I'm talking about So that's the at minute levels of little. This, that, all har ghar mein hota. Every house has a story. Har ghar ki kahani. But then there's some homes, they have some intense stories. Okay? And ours was one such, thanks to my stupid... now I look back, the stupid or the rebellious nature within me. I attribute a lot of what I do professionally today because of that rebellious nature as well. Maybe I would have taken up certain kind of studies as an engineer, doctor, lawyer, because those were the gold standards back then. What would you want to do? I still remember, and we discussed this in the previous session. I want to bring that topic back again. Just out of my 10th standard exams, I had to sit down with my parents, and Dad asked, they were discussing what's your future plans, right? So, Mom said, doesn't matter what you do whatever where people respect you. People look up to you, or you are a value add in that sense. So in simple words, like a doctor, engineer, you're healing someone or you're building the nation, right? In either or. That's why traditionally it was considered to be a job or a profession of great respect, right? And at the same time, Dad said that make sure that there is great respect, but also you can make good money because you're going to be the breadwinner for the family. Yeah. You're the one who's going to make sure that, you need to have enough resources to be able to take care of your family, right? As a provider, protector. So and this also in a way kind of, if you just zoom into these conversations, double click on these conversations, as a mother, she would always think more emotionally. That's why she said, get the respect. As a father, as a provider, protector, he's thinking about also being able to build resources for your family, right?
Practically.
Yeah, practically. And I'm not saying both are practical. Even my mom was a working mom. She still, till date, she works. My dad is retired. My mom still works. So I came from a background, but there was still a lot more traditional rootedness in terms of the roles at home. In that sense, I think my mom was, it's like the traditional way. In the hunter-gathering scenario, the hunter would always go hunt and get the food, and the gatherers, the women, would take care of the home and raise the kids and all of that. So even though my mom was a working woman, she would still, in her whole full capacity, be able to do those things, be cooking food for us or packing dabbas for us, and then going to work and coming back and helping us with homework as much as dad would do, right? So drawing it back to the point that the rebellious aspect of it was, for me, a lot of these things today, I feel when I look back, the rebellion really helped me be where I am, right? There were learnings from there. There were certain क्या बोलते हैं, घाव थे जिसको सुखाना जरूरी था. There were certain traumas or experiences that had to be looked back and work on it, be it my personal relationship with myself, with my family, with friends, and we all have these stories, right?
Sure.
I'm just using mine as an example because I know that's closer to me, right? We all in our own life have our own stories. As you said, you've had your own set of stories, and today I have to give a shout out to you, because I remember watching your podcast and you said, when God tests us, let's make a testimonial out of it, right? So it's true. In our everyday life, we will always be put into situations where we would be tested, be it with family, with strangers, or colleagues, friends, whatever it is. How do we make a testimony out of it will be on us.
Okay.
So I think all that rebellion over the period of time has helped me shape up into a much more aware, a more... or I would say a better human being, work in progress still. It's an everyday process. So, yeah, I just got digressed with so many thoughts in my head. So, yeah.
So, coming back to the topic of being an MC,
yeah,
we went very deep into something that was necessary for me personally. But coming back to being an MC, if someone wants to get started as a corporate MC, how does one start getting shows, and how does one start building their portfolio, and how much can one earn during their initial time?
So, मैं थोड़ा deep talks वाला आदमी by default, right? So I'm gonna give you an overview of this understanding, how I look at it. Two things are the most essential thing, is skills one need to work upon. Doesn't matter you're an MC, singer, dancer, podcaster, whatever we do in today's times. First is the creative skill set aligned with it. So drawing back to as an MC, how good you speak, the whole audiovisual angle to it, how good you sound on mic, to how good you look on stage, to how you're able to play around with emotions and give them the highs and the lows. So all of those things, right? Like not getting too much deep into it. But first, working on your creative skill set part of it, right? The second is your marketing skills, right? Because you can be a great singer. You can sing like Arijit Singh, right? But the difference is he is Arijit Singh because there's a brand value attached to it, right? So that's what our goal should be. No matter how good our skill set is, we must be able to complement it simultaneously with a good marketing skill set. So just drawing it back to how can one become a corporate MC, how can one grow, is work on your skill set, build a network, reach out to people. One must have a certain sense of hunger. It's all different stages of where you are in the game. So if you're very early in the game, pick up whatever gigs you get.
Yeah.
Spend more time on stage, doing, evolving a certain style. Because you can't you want to be a corporate MC and you get a corporate gig on a day. Or whatever, a wedding MC or a fashion lifestyle MC or a TV presenter, even with a TV, a general entertainment channel, Colors, Star Sports, Star Plus of the world, Z's of the world. Then you would bring it back to sports presenting, which would be completely different. Where it would be a Star Sports and the Sony Crickets, the Sony, whatever those channels are, right? Like across the category. there is so much of genres of things. So the first important thing is to do more things on stage or in front of camera. Practice it, do your thing, build style. With time, find your marketing niche, how you're trying to build yourself, what is the messaging that you're trying to give through your content game, and so on and so forth. Work across that. Just to make it simple and crisp, you must check out a complete series on emceeing that I've done called MC Essentials on my Instagram page. It's like some 8 to 10 episodes of different things where specifically guided towards how can you work on your skill set, how can you work on your marketing skills. Just to draw it down, one simple exercise one can practice as part of wanting to value add in this conversation is a very simple exercise where you put your camera on. You record a video of, let's say, as simple as you're introducing yourself or at an event. It could be any scenarios. Put yourself into a scenario. Let's say you're hosting a friend's wedding, right? How would you start your spiel, introducing them on stage? Just make a video of that as if you're standing on stage, put a camera, record it. Well, now that you've got the video, first mute the video. Whereas you're only looking at your body posture, your body communication, how are you doing it? Holding the mic, doing the whole thing. How are you doing that? So, एक बार उसको mute करके दें. Second, don't watch the video, but listen to that audio, right? And then see both the things together, right? These are ways that you can specifically look at how can you improve your audio game, how can you improve your stage presence. These are basic exercises that can help you. There are a lot. MC Essentials, draw it in, check it out. I narrate Coach Clince.
We'll put that description.
Yeah.
So like that it is about.
So how can you become a better MC? Because see, at the end of the day, as be it in any MC, corporate MC or wedding MC, you will have to, the agencies, what is the process? Let's break down the process also, right? We've given a very overview of what one must do.
Yeah.
You must, the first thing, if at all you could do anything to market yourself, double clicking on marketing, right? First thing, build a showroom. 1, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, whatever it is, right? Like build a story that shows you've done a lot of work. Because while you were doing all the work, groundwork, it could be a friend's wedding, it could be something else, or whatever it is. Start making videos wherever you are. Don't wait for the first day to get your corporate event to do it. It could be a mall activity. I told you that I started my journey as a mall activity guy, right? So then with time, the more you see, I think God looks at people and chooses to bless them based on the effort and the intent they put into everything. Let me reverse it. The intent first, then the effort second, right? Sometimes he blesses some people with very less of intent and effort to get a certain kind of result, and sometimes it's the other way around, right? Maybe we can draw these examples in our own personal life of certain things, be it the studies we did in class and the marks we got, or the effort we put in gym and the body we were able to make, or to every example in a relationship, this, that, 100 examples, right? So he will only choose to bless you as much as the efforts that you put in. So don't wait कि यार छोटा effort डालेंगे तो बड़ा results मिलेगा. So start video recording yourself. Whatever events you do, make your story. Once you have a good story, start focusing on building individual after movie specific for each event, different kind of events that you're doing. Whatever your journey is, be it mall activity that you're starting, why I'm saying mall activity, because that's generally considered as a starter to a lot of experiences going ahead, like a stepping stone. So dhire what happens is through these video making process of yours, you would learn that what makes it more effective when you're sharing it with clients, when you're pitching it to clients. While you're doing all this, right, you would always stand one step higher than someone who's just doing it but doesn't have videos or photos of the same experiences. So that's where the game starts. I always say look at the emceeing game as a pyramid, triangular pyramid, 3 stages: bottom tier, mid tier, top tier. So once there is always an upward wind, upward push hota hai ekdam. Or tailwind wo hota hai ki when you're flying, you get so much of wind that helps you push you more, right? That's called the tailwind. This is the right time to become an MC.
Yeah.
It's become an industry in itself, live event industry space. MCs are considered really important to curate an experience, be it across whatever kind of events, weddings, social lifestyle, or corporate events, and so on and so forth, right? So there is a tailwind, it's a good time. There is an upward push you would naturally see in the triangular pyramid, that people want to move from bottom tier to mid tier to top tier. And while this is happening, the ones who get the tailwind and get the upward push are the ones who equally work on their skill set and their marketing skill. Showreel after movies, a PDF presentation, like PPT presentation that talks about all these things. Put it into things that makes it more easily understandable for whoever's going to see your video and who is the decision maker to get you a gig. Stand a chance better than someone else who's going to be pitched along with you in the same process. So content would be very crucial. And your social media presence, having a website, like all of these are multiple things. But if only one thing that you have to first do, showreel first. Showreel means, which means you've shot across a lot of gigs, you've got clips of it, merged it together and moved.
Even you have a very big personal brand on Instagram, 250,000 followers. Through that brand value that you have created, you become more credible in the industry. Does having such a big following help you charge higher to clients?
See, let's look at it as like a tire with multiple spokes, right? One of the frame could be the following that you have, or how big you are on social media, right? Because there could be markets that could identify you as a social media celebrity or a social media influencer, and hence I think it will be always one step higher than someone who's maybe similar skill set, or maybe even better than you, but you were able to make it look bigger and better. So the chances of monetizing your brand is higher in that sense. And in today's times, anything, right? Any product that you buy, you would always want to make sure that it's something that has more credibility. And in today's times, credibility is equated equally with the following that you have online. So let's say, for example, if you have 1 million followers on your channel, you're more credible a podcaster as much as if you would have relatively lower numbers, right? It's 1,500 or whatever. But the 1 million guy reached 1 million by consistently at 500, at 1,000, and keeping on doing it. The hustle is completely different, and hence there is a certain kind of credibility around it. So the same thing, it can certainly boost. But I know of people who are super seniors who might not necessarily be social media active, but their work is insane. They already have a certain branding that they've been carrying for years, that they do amazing work. But you would see a fallout, because as you see the triangle going up, there is less space to accommodate more people at the top. So people at the top with time also wear out. There is a fall down that happens because there is an upward push. There are new people coming in, right? So there is only certain number of seats available. I'm not saying certain number of seats, but you will see that with time there is more expansion in the whole triangle also. Right? It's not, if it was this much of a triangle, with time it becomes bigger. So there is more seat, but the amount of seats as you go up and up is relatively lesser.
Even to that top triangle, there are another 3 triangles, the low tier, mid tier, and high tier.
Yeah, I mean, you could double click on each tier and be like, okay, now the top tier. So does the top tier mean everything, every person from, who would you consider in India's context as a top tier? Let's say a TV presenter more popular, like Kapil Sharma or Manish Paul, Ranveer Alabadia from the influencer. But is he like a MC? As a podcast, in the podcast again, right? Let's say. So that would be your top tier. Then there would be a mid top tier, there would be a bottom top tier. So across every categories, you could zoom in, you could see what could be the main parameters that could define these things. It could be the credibility, and maybe when drawing back to MCs, the experience, credibility, and the money you charge per gig. So these could define where you are positioned at this triangular pyramid in the bottom, mid, and top tier of MC scenario.
Now coming to the topic of the happiness coach, how you got started as a happiness coach?
So 2020, we were all jobless, sitting at home thanks to COVID. I thought it's a perfect time to upskill, because aligned with the long-term vision of wanting to be a full-time public speaker, a motivational speaker, aligned with my purpose of what I call the engage and inspire. So that's what I do as an MC. I want to transition with time into a full-time motivational speaker. So I need to do some learnings and certifications. So that was the program that I did with the Berkeley Institute of Wellbeing from California, and did a certification course with a 2-3 month program with their affiliate institute, like a virtual online program with them on during COVID. Got some certification, changed my branding from VJ Clince. Pre-COVID, I used to go by the branding called VJ Clince online because I was a TV presenter like MTV VJ, MTV and VH1 VJ. So I thought this was a good time to rebrand myself, because rebranding requires a lot of preparation for people to kind of see it. So now we were moving to Coach Clince. We said this decade will be about, shifting the branding from the guy who you saw who was doing boom shakalaka, jumping in front of you on stages, or like doing some crazy acting on TV and all of that. From that to building more trust as a person to whom you could, when you think about a problem, you would associate Clince as a person who could be a problem solver, and with time then scaling that up into a full-time motivational speaking session, or do everything like that. And in a way it helped a lot because I also got into my 30s, and even in terms of changing my style or upgrading or uplifting my style as an MC. So people now take me more seriously as a MC, because I talk about mindset, I talk about everyday actions or the way you think, awareness, motivation, happiness, this, that, all of that. So plug those kind of conversation into an everyday scenario, be it a wedding gig or a corporate gig or otherwise also. So yeah.
Becoming a happiness coach, it uplifted you yourself.
See, happiness coach मतलब एक program किया है यार, happiness coach. It doesn't mean like now from today onwards I have a happiness. We all are like, you can be a happiness coach if you are committed and dedicated to the fact that you're going to use your thoughts, words, and action to spread joy. Right? I mean, baki to it's like saying you're a gym trainer. You can be a certified gym trainer. You can be a gym trainer because you have certain kind of knowledge and wisdom which you've applied in your life. You've had someone else, now you want to scale it up. So वैसा वाला scene है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि happiness coach मतलब, because there are people that I know who would have got certification but are not practicing.
Yeah.
It's like a doctor or an engineer. You could have a certain kind of formal degree. Yeah. Or anything, and this is not, I'm not comparing this certified program to a certain course that you do for 4 years and study and all that. Just for ease of access of understanding. Just because you've got a certain educational background or some certification, you don't become a good whatever that is. You could be a doctor, engineer. There are good doctors, bad doctors. Good cops, bad cops. Right? So the goal is to be a better version of who you are. I thought that program would kind of be a landmark milestone in my journey of what I want to be in life. So yeah, that was the happiness coaching program.
And this is not a question to a happiness coach, but this is a question to Clince. What is one thing that everyone listening to this can do to become happier in life? An everyday action, a small action every day. That doesn't take much time.
So simple, to make it simple, identify what makes you unhappy. If you want to be happy, you will only remain happy when you're upset and you can come back from it, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're happy, you're not thinking about happiness.
Sure.
You're thinking about like feeling good and you're immersed in the whole experience.
Yeah.
The challenge is when you're upset or when you are angry, you're hurt, you're jealous, you're, all those feelings. So when you're there or when you're about to get into it or so on and so forth, be aware enough to realize that, okay, someone said this to me, now that makes me upset. Not because what they said. See, people only give you what they have.
Sure.
Right? So, like, have some ground rules of understanding. Somebody said something to you, so now you're going to be fired up and, spend your day a certain way because he said that to you, or she said that to you, or did that to you, or thought that about you, whatever those things are, right? So, first and foremost, ye samjho ki people will give you what they have. So that's stage one. Stage two, because they give you certain things, they said, did, or thought about you a certain way. Now you must decide what you want to do post that. Are you going to get immersed into the web of it? or you realize that, okay, someone saying a certain thing to me makes me feel upset or angry. I'm going to be aware of it, but I'm not going to let that affect my through the day. And then maybe have your own ritual of coming out of it. It can be a walk, listening to a song, or maybe breathing, some sort of meditation. Like, have a ritual. When you see yourself dragging away, getting upset, or whatever those things are, identify what your stressors are. For example, somebody goes to work and the way maybe their colleagues interact with them, or their boss talks to them, or whatever those things are, right?
Yeah.
If you know these are your stressors, find a way to, align yourself with not getting so disturbed around it. The only way to be happier is by identifying what makes you upset, working around it, and then building new patterns with practice to be able to not get affected heavily by someone or something that affects you otherwise. So it's simple words, that's all it is.
Okay.
And how do you do it? There are ways to do it, and there is a whole thing. Check out a content series on my Instagram called Happiness Hacks with Coach Clince, where I talk about certain exercises, certain activities to enhance this experience.
So basically, to understand what makes you unhappy and then start working on it.
Yes, because that's the simplest way to do it. And one exercise, again, very basic, we've been told about it many a times, but maybe not told in a certain way like this. We've always been told, focus kar.
Yeah.
From a time that we were kids, be it our teachers or, parents, focus. But nobody taught us how to focus, right? Very simple. When, why they say meditate and close your eyes and all of that is because to be able to align your thoughts, your words and action, you need to be able to have a control over your thoughts. When you just sit, right, and just like scrolling into the phone, you're allowing ease of access to not having to think actively. You just want to get triggered with dopamine, something that makes you joyful. Koi naach raha hai, koi kuch bol raha hai, jo kuch bhi hai. You need to practice to sit in a place, close your eyes, and count your breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 5. Let's do a count of 5 to 6. Right? Inhale, hold, and exhale. Just count this for a repetition of 10 times. I'm telling you, it's so difficult to do for an average human being.
Yeah.
Because the moment you start doing this, your mind takes you somewhere else.
Yeah.
The practice is when you're going somewhere else, bring it back again, focus on the breath, the counts, again it's going, bring it back again. Again it's going, bring it back again. The more you keep doing this, your ability to, when somebody said something and you just reacted to it, your ability to bring yourself back to be more aware is this. That's why they say close your eyes, do a counting or balance your breath, because your breath is everything. You would realize when you're excited, when you're angry, your body is reacting to those things. When you're at ease, you're at calm, your body is reacting accordingly. So have control over your breath. Do this repetition of 5 times inhale, 5 times hold, 5 times release. Do a repetition of that into 10 times to begin with. Maybe start with 5 sets, or maybe 3 sets. If you're able to do 3 sets, extend it to 5, extend it to 10. With time, you will also realize that your count has become longer. Yeah. Your space between 1 to 2 to 3 is getting longer, which means you're also able to practice your cardiovascular strength better. You're aligning your breath with, how you're able to think. ऐसे नहीं कि सब haywire चल रहा है भाई. तुम सोच रहे कुछ और है, कर रहे कुछ और है, बोल रहे कुछ और है. Aligning it together. So that's the power of meditation. Not just sitting and thinking about an elephant or Buddha's face or something like that, and you're just sitting. Sitting nahi hai, you're sitting hai, breathing hai, aligning your thoughts and your breath, and having more control over it. And realizing that with time, the idea of having control is to be able to let loose. It's वो mastery है, but one step at a time. So yeah.
Okay, my next question is: there are many young adults in their late teens, early 20s, like me, who don't really know what we want to do with our life, and because of that, it causes uncertainty, which we were talking about. Mm-hmm. And that uncertainty causes us stress. How can we move forward, knowing that it's going to be uncertain, but we have to go through it anyway?
I kind of beg to differ with the idea that uh, uncertainty causes challenges in life.
Okay.
It's the inability to deal with uncertainty what gives rise to uncertainty. If you just like for a second pause, problems क्यों होता है? Problems की वजह से नहीं. Our inability to deal with problems is the problem.
Reaction also.
हाँ मतलब कुछ हो गया, किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया या कुछ हो गया, कुछ गिर गया, टूट गया. How do we deal with these things?
Yeah.
Defines is it stressful or not stressful and all those things. So to just bring it down, I'm sure when you're at 18, 20, 21, 25, whatever, that you're at college, just out of college, the goal would be कि यार पैसे बनाना है.
Yeah.
Passion follow करना है. जो कुछ भी everybody would have these things. I would always suggest पैसे ना बनेगा. Skill set build करो. Build your core skill set. Communication. Or if you're a coder, build your coding skill set. Like I'm saying communication because you're a podcaster, you want to be an MC, interaction with people, social comfort. These would be the things that you might want to build right now. So even if you don't know exactly what you want to do, right? That's okay. That's something that even I don't know right now what I want to do.
Sure.
There are plans, there are visions, there are ideas, there are ways that I'm working around. But if you ask me 10 years ago, did I know what I'm going to do right now? I had ideas, I had plans. I've worked around a lot of those things to be where I am right now, right? So it will always be that. Sometimes you're planning about becoming A, but you end up becoming B. But through the journey, work on your skill set. Whatever skill sets you feel are important, work around it. And with time, you will find the monetization opportunities around it or the ability to make something that is impact-oriented or purpose-driven. See, passion, purpose, profit. All these things are important, right? For some, all these three are important.
Yeah.
For some, maybe only profit is important. Bharmaya, passion, purpose and all that. Doesn't matter. To each to his own. Identify what's more important to you. Right? For some, it's about just continuing family business, which might have passion, purpose and profit. Or maybe just profit. Or maybe it's just passion driven. It doesn't make it's not maybe aligned with purpose or profit, whatever combination it is. ये तीन चीजों के आसपास ही चीज घूमेंगे. Maybe all three, maybe just one, maybe two, whatever those combinations are.
Now, how did your content creation journey start?
Content creation, bro, I always knew, as I was telling you, from an early stage in life, just out of school, when I started working across these marketing events or whatever, I realized that, marketing is a very important space. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. But in today's times, जो ज़्यादा दिखता है वो at least बिकेगा. You need to be seen more, and every time you're seen, you need to be building authenticity, trust, and so on and so forth. So I think in today's times, content is aligned with an marketing opportunity. And even earlier, when it had started, the early days of Orkut, Facebook, and so on and so forth, I had that sort of a vision. And I used to see it and treat it that way. So, be it from, of course, with time, content style changes. When you're 20, 25, 30, 34, you also think differently. Your way of life difference changes. So, that kind of reflects in your content journey as well. But largely, as I said, engage and inspire, engage, entertain, inspire has been my purpose story. So I use my content spaces, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, LinkedIn, aligned with content around it. So as I was telling you, plugging in content pieces like happiness hacks or MC essential, things that I know, I try to put it into nugget pieces, into simple stuff that can be useful for people. And while doing that, I also talk about my work as an MC or some personal things like family. I share those things, or cooking. I love cooking, so I put snippets around cooking or everyday life. So that's pretty much content journey. Of course, started way back in around 2010, 12. And, from there on, at different phases, different times. But largely engage, entertain, inspire has been the goal. Mantra.
Okay. And have you had any breakthrough moment as a social media creator?
Breakthrough moment, yes. I think winning the Great Selfie Challenge back in 2015, I won this title of Selfie King of India, and Instagram was at an early stage as much as what it is today. So had reached out to a lot more people, that had got some boost in terms of the followers that I had back in the day. what else? I mean, some videos go viral. You reach out to a certain new set of audience. Sometimes it reaches in a certain geo space. It's not necessarily in Bombay or it's across from India. Maybe it's international. Certain content works here and there. So like that, I don't think otherwise some landmark. What would you say is in your journey of content creation?
The breakthrough.
Yeah.
I haven't got it yet.
How would you define a breakthrough?
I would say a video crossing 100k views and me getting more followers than expected. See, because I know content is a numbers game. I've been a trader in the past, so I've learned that probability matters.
Yes.
So I learned that, okay, out of 100 pieces of content I post, 90 I got a flop. 5 will do decent, 4 will do really well, and 1 will get everything, like all the followers, all the people to get eyeballs on me. So
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
It's like...
North Star Video will bring in a lot of people, and when they come, we want to make sure that they are reaching like a library of good content which they will feel excited and want to see more. So pretty much more or less that's the game. Some very few people in their first video, second, 10th video, whatever, they get a certain kind of audience. But again, the game is not about having gained the audience. Gain the audience or not, it's to keep your existing audience excited and keep them going. Not even in a short-term period. Somebody like I know people who've been following my journey for over a decade. Like they still see my stories. And of course not the same number as I had with time. The job is on you to keep them excited through the phases of life, and they've seen you as a student to all the other things that is going on. So you got to keep your audience excited.
Yeah. So like even for me, I've taken up a challenge right now on
365 videos, 365 days. Yes.
Yeah. So now 14 days are done, and I'll post a video now after we're done, and I'm keeping a content library ready so that no burden comes on me as such.
That's the way to go, because back in 2021, my team and I, we decided we'll do Mission 500. At the end of 2020, we decided we'll do something called as Mission 500, where we said that we were going to release 500 content pieces in this year. So we had a tie-up with some platform called Trell, where we had to release every day a video talking about happiness and in and around it. So it was a content IP called Happiness Hacks with Coach Clince. Daily dose of happiness with Coach Clince. So dose means dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. These are like happy hormones. So we would talk about a lot of everyday things to do. So we set vision like Mission 500 videos, Mission 500, which means 500 videos being released across 3 formats of content. While discussing this, because in your case it's 365 reels every day.
Yeah.
So back then there was nothing called as reels. Reels तब आया जब वो TikTok ban हुआ और फिर all that game. But so we would say long format, mid format, short format content. Short format would be your stories, mid format would be your what we today call as reels. Long format would be everything from podcasts to interviews to whatever long storytelling sessions.
Yeah.
So excited for your so we kind of had data bank, content bank that we made with time. एक दिन shoot किया 10 episodes के लिए, फिर उसका edit हो रहा है, simultaneous releases हो रहे हैं, चीजें of that nature. So
Okay, that makes sense. So any advice you would have for me with regards to this content creation journey?
Just keep at it, dude. Sometimes you are not motivated to do it. Push through those days. हो सकता है worst case scenario, you might miss a day. If at all, even you miss in a 365 day, you missed at 133rd day, for example, don't let that affect you and be like, yeah, so we should we continue? Continue.
Yeah.
Finish 365, then look back and review and all of that, and through the period you'll have learnings from content style, a certain content should have gone that day but didn't go, or something else went through. All those hoo-has will come through. But if it's a mission, make sure that you put up all 365 videos a day. Sometimes it's at 11:58 p.m. you realize that the video didn't go, or something could happen because you were busy with something else or whatever. Put it up. हो सकता है 12:01 हो गया तो भी डाल दे भाई. All those kind of things. Like I have faced these things, so I'm sharing from my personal experience.
Okay.
Maybe if you're organized better enough, you might not see a lot of these challenges. So yeah.
Okay, that was it. Thank you so much, Coach Clince. Thank you so much. This episode is going to be really close to my heart because it feels like I'm speaking to an elder brother.
Thank you. Just in short, just wanted to give a special shout out to you. I love what you're doing. Keep at it. I know it's not an easy job. It requires, and special shout out to the boys who are part of your journey. I've seen them put a lot of effort to help you have that.
We have Samuel, you have Samuel.
Sam in the house. What up, Sammy? Sammy boy.
Which
You're in this frame. And bro, you must also come in. Let's give a shout out. Good job at setting it up. There you go. You want to say something to our homies?
प्रेम में नहीं आ रहा हूँ I guess कि ये वाला प्रेम है ना उसमें.
Do you want to say something to the people who are watching this episode? You'll have to come into the frame. You'll have to bring it in a bit. झुकना पड़ेगा भाई. झुकेगा नहीं साल. झुकेगा.
नीस पे जाना.
नहीं इतना जरूरी नहीं है. नीस पे बढ़िया. इधर ही आ जाए. संभाल की bottles here and there.
Myself Ayan.
Yes. Ayan, what do you do with the podcast?
I'm just a cameraman. I'm handling camera and all.
You are that guy. You're the cameraman.
Yeah.
Come on, bring it in. So, okay, Ayan. So, what is your suggestion to people? What do you think? Is there any nuggets of wisdom in here or something that they can learn from?
बस देखो and सीखो कैसी lifestyle चल रही है जिंदगी चल रही है और क्या.
भाई ने बोल दिया. बसो. हंसते रहो.
फन करो. एंजॉय करो. फैमिली को टाइम दो. खेलो कूदो. फैमिली बनाओ बस.
बेसिकली हंसते रहो, हंसाते रहो, हिलाते रहो. मस्त रहो.
And Samuel, any few words from you?
There's nothing much that I can say, but what I mean is,
ज़्यादा हिलाओ.
I mean, it's all about perspective in a moment. If I talk about it, it's all about perspective. Each day has you came bro. So I mean, I believe that each day can just falls down on your perspective. If you just perceive everything as an experience, it doesn't become like I had a bad day, I had a good day. It becomes more about a journey. Like it's not like I had a bad talk with a client today, or my client is not happy with my work, or maybe I had a good day. I made my friends happy. It all adds on.
Perfect.
Everything becomes like a +1.
So for more of Pastor Sammy, please tune into Sammy's Instagram page, and he's going to take you through all the Baba talks.
Sammy Space.
Sammy Space. And with that, we come to the end of an action-packed session. Full power. Full power.
Chalo guys.
Let's see you.